The AGT stage was supposed to be a place of dreams, applause, and rising stars, but tonight it pulsed with an eerie darkness that no one expected. The glittering lights of the auditorium flickered as rumors spread like wildfire through the corridors. Something terrible had happened behind the scenes, something that even the seasoned security of the show was struggling to comprehend. Judge Marina Lopez, admired for her sharp mind and fearless critiques, had been found dead inside her private dressing room. No signs of struggle. No broken locks. No disturbance in the room except for one chilling detail, a single tarot card placed on her chest. The Lovers. It was symbolic, deliberate, and far too calculated to be random. Minutes later, the entire AGT studio transformed into a CID operation zone. Officers cordoned off the area, detectives interviewed every staff member, and forensic teams swept through hallways with silent urgency. The audience had been escorted out, leaving the once vibrant studio cold and hollow. Among the performers still present were the enigmatic duo known as the Clairvoyants, Elara and Kian, lovers on stage and off stage, their connection so powerful that their mind-reading act felt almost supernatural. And now, with Marina dead, all eyes were locked onto them. Elara stood unervingly calm, her fingers gently intertwined with Kian's. Her gaze drifted toward the direction of Marina's dressing room as if she was staring through walls and into memories that didn't belong to her. "We didn't kill her," she whispered softly, her voice trembling with a strange mix of fear and certainty. Detective Arion, the lead CID officer, narrowed his eyes. "Then why does it look like the killer left a message tied to your act?" Elara swallowed hard. "Because we felt something earlier, something dark." Marina's last thought wasn't her own. It was someone else's. Someone watching us. Kian's grip tightened around her hand. His jaw clenched with a secret he didn't want to voice. The detective leaned closer. "Explain." Elara looked away for a moment, collecting fragments of thoughts that didn't belong to her. "Our abilities aren't a trick," she said. "We don't just read each other, sometimes, unwillingly, we sense the people around us." She took a trembling breath. And tonight, someone's mind was filled with rage and jealousy. Someone who hated Marina. Someone who hated us. Detective Arion exchanged a troubled glance with his team. The clairvoyant's calmness felt less like innocence and more like a warning. Elara continued, "The killer wasn't thinking about Marina when he ended her life. He was thinking about me, and Kian." Her voice cracked. And his thoughts weren't just violent. They were intimate. Personal. The temperature in the studio seemed to drop. Kian stepped protectively in front of her. "Whoever this person is," he said, "he knows us. He knows our past." Elara nodded, her eyes glistening. "And he isn't done." Simon sat in the dimly lit interrogation room, the bright studio chaos now replaced by a suffocating silence that pressed against the walls. The clairvoyants, Elara and Kian, sat across from him, their fingers intertwined tightly, as if one heartbeat kept them both alive. The AGT stage was only meters away, yet this room felt like it belonged to a different world entirely, a world built from fear, secrets, and a crime too precise to be random. Simon looked at them with a mixture of disbelief and unease. He had judged thousands of performers, but never had he found himself questioning whether two contestants were witnesses, suspects, or victims in a murder that reeked of obsession. Kian attempted to speak, but Elara gently touched his arm, closing her eyes for a moment as if listening to a whisper he couldn't hear. When she opened them, her voice trembled. "Simon. Marina's death is connected to us. We didn't choose it. It followed us." Simon leaned forward, his arms resting on the cold table. "Connected how?" She inhaled, her breath shaky. "Because someone from our past is here. Someone we once trusted. Someone who used to share our gift." Simon froze. "Another clairvoyant?" Kian nodded, though the word itself felt too simple, too innocent. He wasn't just part of our act, Kian said, his voice hollow. He was in love with Elara. And when she chose me, something inside him broke. Elara lowered her gaze, guilt weighing heavily on her. We left him years ago. He became dangerous. Violent. He disappeared. Simon's chest tightened. He wasn't dealing with a random killer. This was a man burned by obsession, sharpened by rejection, and empowered by abilities that allowed him to slip through people's minds like shadows. Elara suddenly stiffened, her breath catching violently. Her eyes went blank, glazing over like frost spreading across glass. He's here, she whispered, though her lips barely moved. Simon felt a chill crawl up his spine. Elara, what do you see? She shook, her voice cracking. He's close. He's watching us from somewhere dark. And he's thinking about taking Kian back from me. Kian's hand tightened around hers, his fear raw and unhidden. Simon realized this wasn't a performance. It wasn't a trick. It wasn't even a crime of passion. It was the beginning of a psychological hunt between three intertwined souls, one bound by love, one bound by fear, and one bound by a deadly obsession that refused to die. The moment the studio lights went out, the entire AGT building fell into a suffocating silence. Every shadow seemed to come alive, stretching across the stage like hands reaching for something, or someone. The emergency lights flickered to life after several seconds, glowing a dim red that bathed the set in a hellish glow. Simon, Elara, and Kian emerged from the interrogation room, guided only by instinct and fear. The audience seats were empty, the judges' table abandoned, and the stage, usually filled with applause, felt like a battlefield waiting for its first bullet. A slow, deliberate clap echoed from the upper balcony. Simon's heart dropped. Elara's breath caught in her throat as she gripped Kian's hand. From the shadows stepped a man wearing a black hood, his posture relaxed, almost amused. I waited years for this moment, he said, his voice dripping with betrayal. You thought you could leave me behind. You thought your love was stronger than mine. Elara trembled, recognizing the voice instantly. It was Lucien, the missing member of their act, the one who had once read thoughts as easily as breathing. Only now, his mind was twisted, sharpened by obsession and resentment. Lucien descended the stairs slowly, each step calculated. In his hand he held a tarot card, the final card in his deadly message. Death. He lifted it toward Elara. She stole you from me, he hissed at Kian. She ruined everything. Kian stepped in front of Elara, but Lucien's voice cut through him like a blade. You were mine to protect. Mine to guide. Mine to love. Elara's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't back away. She closed her eyes, reaching into the darkness of Lucien's mind, pulling at every memory he tried to hide. Her voice trembled. You killed Marina because she recognized you, because she knew who you were. Lucien's face twisted. She was going to expose me. She didn't understand our bond. But you, he pointed at Elara with trembling fury. You were supposed to belong to me. CID officers finally burst into the studio, surrounding him, but Lucien only laughed, his madness echoing across the empty auditorium. If I can't have you, no one will. He lunged toward Kian, but Elara stepped between them, using every ounce of their shared mental strength to break the connection that bound Lucien's thoughts to hers. He collapsed, screaming, his mind shattering under the weight of his own obsession. As officers dragged him away, the sound of his rage-filled cries faded into the distance. Elara shook uncontrollably, falling into Kian's arms. They held each other as if their love was the last light left in the building. Simon stood still, breathless, realizing he had just witnessed something far beyond talent, something terrifying, intimate, and unforgettable. Tonight, AGT didn't host a performance. It survived a war of hearts.